and down your spine. And keep your chin level with the earth. And allow your attention to rest in the space behind your eyes. And just take a few slow breaths here, noticing the earth underneath your seat. And see if you can incorporate the space in front, back, and sides of your body. And as you start to relax your body in seated meditation, notice the surging flow of breath as it pours into your chest and belly. And remain calm. So keep your eyes soft or closed. And then slowly place one hand on top of your heart and one hand to your belly. Just start to breathe into the palms of your hands. And keep your wrists and fingers soft. Notice the rise and fall of your hands up and down with the breath. Okay, so keep your hands exactly as they are and your eyes soft or closed. We're going to generate a little bit of heat and activation. And so start to draw your navel in towards your spine and sit up a little taller. And imagine that you were zipping up your whole core from your pubic bone to your belly button. And as you inhale, just start to breathe, but kind of lift your rib cage away from your lungs. Notice your hands start to separate slightly. And as you exhale, start to bring your ribs towards your hips as you draw everything in, and your hands will come a little closer together. So do this a couple of times. And this movement might be so small that we can't even notice it. It's going to feel like a gentle lift and lower of the rib cage away from our diaphragm and our hips, creating space in the body. So take 3 or so rounds of breath, just like this. Okay, and so from here, take your hands, you can blink your eyes open, and then place your finger pads together in front of your heart space, and then draw your hands in front of your heart, gaze forward, like you were holding a giant ball into the palms of your hands. And as you inhale, peel your fingertips away from one another, and then reach towards either side of your space, like you were giving someone a giant air hug. And then exhale, allow the finger pads to touch in front of your heart space. So let's do this 3 times. Inhale, starting to initiate movement along our chest, broaden through your collarbones. And then exhale, gather in. One more like that. This time on your next inhale, reach your arms up Okay, and so from here, you can blink your eyes open, sweep your arms forward, and your right arm will dive underneath your left. And now you've got an option here. You can either reach towards your shoulder blades, giving yourself a giant hug, or eagle wrap your arms and wrap from the forearms and maybe the wrists touch. Okay, so make your decision. Either way, pull your forearms and elbow tips away from one another. Shoulder blades draw towards your side body. Sit up tall. And then as you inhale, press into your sitting bones, lift your elbows and fingertips and gaze up. Spine will arch slightly. And then exhale, dive your elbows in towards your navel, round your spine, and gaze into your lap. So do this 2 times. Breathing into our spine and our back body. One more. And on your next inhale, sit up tall, unwrap your arms, and then reach your arms to the left and the right. And then exhale, left arm dives underneath right. So the same thing here, make your decision. Either give yourself a giant hug, stack your elbows, or wrap from your forearms. And if you're in this shape of Garudasana, your hands are blocking your view. Pull your elbows and forearms away from you. And then do 3 rounds of this. This seated cat-cow motion of the spine with our arms wrapped. So take your time, there's no rush. One more. On your next inhale, come up and unwrap your arms, reach them out to the left or the right. And exhale, set your hands into your lap. Okay, so I'm gonna actually face away from you just so that you can see this pattern and the options here. And you can always switch the cross of your legs so that the opposite shin is in front, just for a little bit of a change. Okay, so take your right finger pads by your right, and then sweep your left arm up and overhead. Take a side bend. So start here with this traditional side bend. Lean back slightly. And you can stay here exactly as you are, breathing into the left side body and outer left hip. You can take your left hand and then touch the back of your head and then continue to lean back. You should feel like you're scooping out your armpit. If you want something a little bit deeper, take your left hand and then reach towards your right outer armpit. It's going to sound kind of peculiar. So just look at the screen or the front of the room if you're interested in this, and then lean back. I recommend staying tented on your right finger pads here. So you have 3 options. Just remember that the goal is to keep the sitting bones rooted, to take a side bend. And don't let your ego interfere with maximizing breathing into your left side body. And slowly unwind, press yourself up. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So start with your left finger pads to the left and sweep your right arm up and overhead. And just start with traditional side bend here, starting to wake up our right side body and flare open your right rib cage like an accordion. And the same options apply here. Hand either touching the back of your head and leaning back, lifting your elbow point up, or reaching for the outside of your left armpit. One more full round of breath here. And slowly release, come back up. And then slowly start to lean forward, almost like you were kind of tipping forward, bringing your nose towards the ground. But then when you feel like your sitting bones are lifting up, take your fingertips in front of you, tilting the pelvis forward. Anchor your sitting bones and then walk them forward, maybe slightly forward, more forward. And then exhale, soften your palms and forearms down. Just take a seated forward fold. Bow your head. And breathe into your hip creases. And take a few slow breaths here. Breathe into the back of your heart. And while this whole flow is focused on the whole body, there's a little bit more of an emphasis along the shoulders. Okay, so now continue to bow forward, but come up onto your finger pads. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. And as you walk your hands towards you, roll your spine up. Draw your navel in and allow the crown of your head to rise last. So take your time. Extend both of your legs out in front of you. And then from here, flex your toes and then bend your right knee and plant your right foot down. Interlace your fingers around the front of your right shin. And sit up tall here. Bring your elbows in. Keep your chin level with the earth. Your left heel is anchored. And now as you inhale, press your palms into your right shin. Pull your heart forward and gaze up. And then exhale, start to gaze forward, but now round your spine, shoulders slump forward, and then start to lean back. And then use the leverage of your palms, pressing against your shins to avoid collapsing all the way down. Inhale, pull your heart forward, shoulders draw back, and gaze forward and up. Exhale, round. So a seated, one-legged cat-cow. One more. And exhale. Inhale, sit up tall. Cross your right leg over your left. Wrap your left arm around your right kneecap and swivel your right finger pads behind you. Sit up tall. And then twist, look past your right shoulder. Great. And if you have the access, you can hook the left elbow against the outside of your right kneecap. And you can keep your hand open in this abaya, no fear hand. And slowly gaze forward. Uncross your right leg. Just tap the backs of your knees, give them a little shake. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Start by flexing both of your feet, anchoring the heels, sit up tall, and then bend the left knee. Interlace your fingers. And so align yourself in such a way that your spine is long, and then we'll do 3 rounds. Inhale, gather the elbows in, arch the spine, gaze forward and up. Exhale, round. So 2 more. So you can tell we must be working towards something that requires an alignment of the shoulders for all the cat-cow motions we're doing. And on the completion of your 3rd round, sit up tall. Cross your left foot over your right. And then wrap your right arm around. Tent your left fingertips and start by sitting up tall first so that you have the access to twist, perhaps hooking the elbow. Twist from your low belly. Roll the left shoulder back. Okay. And then come forward, uncross your legs and give them a shake. And then we'll all meet in a tabletop position, hands and knees. And feel free to utilize the blanket to pad your knees if you need to, since we're on a hardwood surface. If you're at home and you're on carpet, you should be okay. Tuck all 10 of your toes. Keep your thigh bones perpendicular to the ground. Shoulders over wrists and spread your fingers wide. Navel draws in. Inhale, tip your sitting bones up. Soften your belly and pull your heart forward through the pillars of your arms. Exhale, round. And see if you can gaze in between your thigh bones as the crown of your head lowers. So 2 more of this traditional cat-cow motion of the spine. Continue to warm up. We've done a few iterations of this spinal movement. So go slow. On your next inhale, come into a neutral spine. Now just take a glance at where your palms are, and I'd like you to lower your elbows exactly in that location. So lower down onto your elbows. Extend your forearms forward, making the number 11. And so now your shoulders are stacked over your elbows. Spread your fingers wide. Keep your toes tucked. So we'll do 3 rounds of the same thing, but now we're on our forearms. Inhale, lift your sitting bones up, soften your belly and pull your heart forward. And then exhale, start to press into your palms and forearms, round your spine and gaze behind you. And do this 2 more times. And even though the range of motion is not going to be as expansive, take advantage of the breath and use the breath to initiate this flexion and extension. 1 more round. Okay. Pause in a forearm tabletop. So here's your option. You can do that 3 more rounds, the same exact thing. You can just watch this for 1 round. Inhale, come into forearm cow, lifting your sitting bones and gazing forward. And as you exhale, perhaps press so hard into your palms, forearms, and toes that your knees can lift up 2 inches off the ground for a forearm super cat. So make your decision. 3 rounds. Inhale. And then exhale, navel draws in and perhaps your knees hover. Some of you can guess where we're headed. And 1 more. Okay. And as you return to a forearm tabletop, come onto your palms. Okay, bring your knees and toes a little bit closer to one another and spread your toes wide, especially the pinky toe. And then come to sit up on your heels. So as you sit on your heels for just a few moments, opening up the bottoms of your feet, you can stay here, keep your chin level with the earth. Don't hold your breath and unclench your jaw. You can, of course, just bring your finger pads down to place a little bit less weight along the bottoms of your feet. So just a few rounds of breath in toes pose. Notice the cadence of your breath. See if you can keep it smooth. 1 more full round. Place your palms down and then untuck your toes and then very lightly tap the tops of your feet down. Keep your toes untucked and once again, I'm going to face away from you just so you can see this. Most of us have done this before. We're gonna do the foot smash and then the calf smash, okay? So with your toes untucked and your shins parallel to one another, you're gonna lift up your right foot and you're gonna swivel it and place your right foot in your left, okay? It might require adjusting the distance between your knees. So I'll do that again. Lift up your right foot, swivel it and place it on your left. Okay? So essentially the bones of your right foot are gonna act as a massage ball on your left foot. Now sit back. And some of you are like, whoa, this is too much. So lean forward a little bit. Some of you are like, I don't feel anything. So I'd like you to walk your hands towards you and sit up. And breathe here. This is a great way to massage your feet after you've done toes pose. Walk your hands forward. Shift forward. And now you're going to take your right foot, pick it up, and then swivel it so it's a little bit higher so that your shin bone is going to come right on the belly of your left calf muscle. Okay, so it's a little bit higher up. Make sure it's adjusted in such a way that you can sit back on it. Now, this is going to be a little bit more intense and you might not be able to sit all the way up. So slowly sit your hips back. And there's going to be a point where you're like, okay, that's enough. Make sure you can still breathe and that perhaps it hurts so good, but not just it hurts, period. Okay, so just make sure that you're adjusting. Take a few slow breaths here. There are lots of iterations of doing this type of calf smash. I'm just showing you 2 options, just in the interest of time. And perhaps be thankful this is not yin, otherwise we'd be holding it for a lot longer. Shift your weight forward, uncross your shin bone, and make your way to the other side. So your shins start parallel, and then now lift up your left foot, swivel it, left foot on top of right, and then sit back. Your feet are relaxed, especially your toes and ankles. And breathe here. One side might feel a little bit more tense or tender than the other, and that's fine, that's normal. Walk your hands forward, and then make your way into the calf smash on the other side. So pick up your left foot, swivel it, and just adjust and sit back. This is a great shape to experiment with. So take an opportunity, especially after class, just to play around with this shape, especially if you do a lot of hiking or biking. These are the muscles that tend to get very tense. Okay. Shift your weight forward, come back into a neutral tabletop with your toes tucked. Step your hands forward 1 handprint, spread your fingers wide, and now gaze forward and start to pick up your knees about 1 inch. Draw your thighs and belly towards one another, and now start to lift your hips up and back. Gaze behind you. Make sure that your elbow creases are facing forward. Upper arms right by the sides of your head. Breathe into the backs of your legs. Take another slow breath here in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, gaze forward between your thumbs. And as you exhale, take a stroll to the top of your mat. Feet about hips width distance apart. That's 2 fists next to one another. Bend your knees so that your belly touches your thighs. And then just hinge forward. And clasp opposite hand to elbow point. And perhaps sway side to side. Great. Release your elbows. Allow yourself to hang forward. Now draw your belly button in towards your spine. Press into your feet and slowly take 2 to 3 rounds of breath to come to a standing position at the top of your mat. Roll your shoulders back and the palms face forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead, palms to touch. And then exhale, bend your knees and pour your weight forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Slide your hands to your shins or thighs, gaze forward. And then exhale, fold, plant your palms and step back to a downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, inhale, ripple forward to plank, top of a push-up. And then exhale, simply lower your knees down onto your mat. Inhale, lift your sitting bones up, soften your belly and pull your heart forward for a wide cow shape. And then exhale, round your spine through cat, and we'll make your way into downward facing dog. So that's our variation of a sun salutation. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, gaze forward. And exhale, step forward. Take your time. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Ground down into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Palms to touch. Then exhale, pour your weight forward through bent knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, lower your knees. Inhale through cow, slightly wider stance. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Round your spine first, then lift your knees up. Beautiful. One more round. Inhale, gaze forward. And exhale, step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward. Exhale, lower your knees. Inhale through cow. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pause here for 3 rounds of breath and downward facing dog. That variation of a sun salutation is a great one if you're feeling in such a way that lowering down onto your belly or through a chaturanga is too much, and you can follow through class while not losing pace, but not put too much strain on your upper arms. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, step your way forward. Okay, so at the top of your mat, you're gonna step your left foot back behind you and then lower your left knee onto your mat or a blanket if it's available. Make sure that your left thigh is fully rotated down before you place it down. Tuck your back toes for stability. And then when you're ready, sweep your arms up and overhead for a crescent moon shape. And then exhale, open your arms out to a T. Gather your arms forward, right arm underneath your left. And then again, you've got that same option, giving yourself a hug or eagle wrap your arms. Inhale, lift your elbows and fingertips and gaze up. And then exhale, dive your elbows in towards your belly. So do this 2 more times, this little pulsation of the arms, but now in a crescent moon shape. Exhale. One more. Inhale, come up. Release the wrap of your arms and then open your arms up to a cactus shape with the palms facing in. And now bring your shoulder blades towards your spine and then lean back for a slight back bend. Broaden through your collarbones. Gaze forward and up. Inhale here. And stay for the exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, lift your arms up, palms to touch, and then fold forward. Plant your palms to frame your right foot. Pick up your left knee just enough so that you can step it forward. Take as many hops as you need to bring your left foot forward to meet your right. Shake out your legs. So that's the sequence. Step your right foot back. We'll do the same thing on this side. Again, right leg fully rotated down before you place the knee down. Gaze forward and then sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, open up. And then as you gather your arms forward, this time the left arm underneath. Make your decision, either giving yourself a hug or eagle wrapping your arms. And then 3 pulsations, inhale, lifting up. Exhale, diving everything in. Utilize that strong core as you move and don't feel any pressure to move as much as we did when we did this seated. Our legs are in this shape, this asymmetric shape that requires balance and stability. One more. Inhale, gaze forward, unwrap your arms and come into this prana mudra shape. So it's like a cactus arms, but the palms face in and then lean back. One more inhale. And then exhale, lift your arms up, palms to touch, and then frame your front foot. Gaze forward, pick up your back knee enough so you can step it forward. Shake out your legs. Okay, so we are going to do that exact same sequence. I am going to cue the back knee lifted for a crescent lunge shape. You can do That, or lower the back knee. So step your left foot back. And so if you lower the back knee and do this, modify like we just did, you'll be able to follow along with us. If you're gonna choose to keep your back leg straight, keep it straight and strong, okay? No halfway. Sweep your arms up and overhead for a crescent lunge shape. Exhale, open up. Gather your arms forward. Right arm underneath your left. Inhale, lift your elbows and fingertips up. And now listen carefully as you exhale, as you gather your elbows in, see if you can bend the left knee slightly, just a little pulsation, almost like a mini crunch. Inhale, press back through the left heel, straighten the left leg, raise your arms up. Exhale, pulse in. One more. And the back knee pulsation is really small, so don't bend your knee significantly. Inhale, straighten the back leg, unwrap your arms, and then lean back into the slight back bend. Inhale here, and then exhale, lift your arms up, frame your front foot, and step forward. Shake out your legs. Step your right foot back. And if you're feeling a little bit wobbly, of course, lower the back heel and you'll be in a much firmer stance. So you can be in more of like a warrior one stance. So no need to necessarily lift up the heel. Just don't pulse if you're gonna lower the back heel. Sweep your arms up. Exhale, open up. Gather your arms forward. And so you know the pattern now. Wrap your arms 3 times. Inhale and exhale. 2 more. Allow your body to wobble. That's how we get stronger in these micro muscles. 1 more. Inhale, unwrap your arms and lean back. 1 full round of breath. Inhale here. And then exhale, raise your arms up. Plant your palms and step forward. Shake out your legs. Step your feet slightly wider, perhaps double hip width distance. Bend your knees and allow yourself to hang forward. You can do the same thing of clasping opposite hand to elbow point. You can also flip your palms under your feet for a gorilla. So up to you. Just take 3 rounds of breath and just recalibrate here before we continue our flow. You're doing great. So release your elbows or your feet. Draw your navel in and slowly roll all the way up. Okay, once you're standing at the top of your mat, feet slightly closer to one another, and step your left foot back behind you for a crescent lunge. And just wiggle it back. Okay, bend your right knee, keep your left leg straight. And of course, for stability's sake, you can always lower the back heel. Sweep your arms up and overhead for a crescent lunge. And as you exhale, wave your arms forward and down, and then just start to lean your torso forward. Navel gathers in. And then here's a big movement. Inhale, start to sweep your arms forward and up. Swivel your back heel and then open up into a warrior 2. Right knee bends, left leg stays straight, arms forward and back. Inhale, tip back, reverse warrior. Sweep your right arm up and overhead. Then exhale, extended side angle. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm sweeps up. And then lean back. 1 full round of breath here. Inhale, come up for a warrior 2. And then just pause here. Flip your palms to face away from you. And then interlace your fingers behind you. Okay, so you're gonna stay in this warrior 2 stance. Roll your shoulders up by your earlobes and down your spine. Elbows hug in. And now scrub down your spine, straighten your arms and lift your heart, gaze up. So I want you to stay here in this back bend. If this feels really good to you, If you like, you can slowly start to pull your fists away from you and then hinge forward and towards the left for a humble warrior two. And if this concept of hinging forward just doesn't seem that appealing, just stay upright. Support yourself with the strength of your legs. One more round of breath. Draw your fist towards your sacrum. Press into your feet and come up. Release the clasp of your hands for a warrior two. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands and frame your right foot. Pick up your left heel. And then step forward. Shake out your legs. Okay, one last side. Step your right foot back, crescent lunge. Just wiggle your foot back so you have a firm stance, and then sweep your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, wave your arms forward, start to lean forward. And as you inhale, come up, pivot your back foot and open up into a warrior two. And stay for the exhale. Inhale, reverse warrior. And exhale, extended side angle. Lightly place the forearm on the top of the thigh. As you sweep your right arm up and overhead, now lean back so you can gaze underneath your upper arm. Inhale, come up, warrior two. Flip your palms to face away from you. And then once again, interlace your fingers, opposite thumb on top this time. And do the same alignment of rolling the shoulders up, hugging the elbows in, and now straighten through the arms. Fist lowers, gaze up. And you can stay here or start to hinge forward. No holding your breath, unclench your jaw. Beautiful. Slowly come up. Release the clasp of your hands. Arms extend forward and back. Exhale, cartwheel your hands. Frame your left foot. Swivel your right heel and step forward. Shake out your legs. Okay. Bend your knees, plant your palms, and step back to a downward facing dog. Last downward facing dog. You can pedal out your feet if you like, bending one knee and drawing the opposite heel down and switching. Okay. And pause and ripple forward to a plank position, top of a push-up. Then exhale, lower your knees down. Come to sit up, grab a sip of water if you like. I'm just gonna demo where we've been heading. And so know that this is our last activating shape. So here are your options. You're gonna return to a forearm tabletop in a moment. Just stay where you're at, just watching for a moment. So you can stay here with your toes tucked. And then from here, I like you to press down so much that you puff up your upper back. So I'll just show you the difference. Here's forearm tabletop. Now lift the back of your heart, wrapping your shoulder blades towards your side body as you gaze in between your wrists. And then you'll step one foot back at a time for a forearm plank. So maybe you stay here. Maybe you press down so much that you can bend your knees and start to step your feet in towards your elbows. So we are warmed up for this. We've done a ton of core activation and shoulder blade work, okay? Coming into dolphin. So I want you to make your decision and we'll be wherever we're at for about 5 rounds of breath, okay? So come into tabletop. Tuck your toes, then lower onto your forearms. And then maybe you stay here in forearm tabletop. There's still a ton of activation, and I want you to, again, lift the back of your heart, wrap your shoulder blades towards your side body, navel draws in. Stay here, or step one foot back at a time, keeping the engagement of your core. Or maybe you slowly start to walk your feet in. And if you're coming into this dolphin shape, gaze behind you, gaze behind in between your toes and your heels. And then breathe into the back of your heart. And wherever you are, just take a few slow breaths. And with everything in yoga, take your time getting out, stepping your feet back, lowering your knees down, and we'll all meet in a child's pose. Sit back onto your heels and soften your arms forward, bow your head. And start to slow the breath down. Okay. And so from child's pose, take your time and make your way onto your belly. So go ahead and lay down, untuck your toes, and stack your palms underneath your forehead like a pillow. Widen your elbows. We'll be here for just a moment, just to kind of acclimate to being on our bellies for the first time in class. And we've done a lot of shoulder blade, and chest activation. So it seems logical to have a period of time of extended wing. So lift your forehead and make sure that you have enough space on your left. So you're gonna look to your left and then just start to reach your left arm out just for a moment and then bend the elbow to a 90-degree angle. So you might not need as much space on your left. Make sure that your fingers are spread wide, palm down. Okay. And now gaze to the right. And place the side of your head down as you gaze to the right. Right hand underneath the shoulder. And then slowly just start to roll on towards your left side body. Your legs have tons of options here. They can just kind of stay stacked. You can bend your knees if that's a little bit more stable. If your left leg is straight, you can also kind of take a half curtsy of your right toes behind your left kneecap. Lots of options. And so I'm cueing you to keep this left arm at this 90-degree angle in the cactus shape to get a little bit deeper into the muscles and the fascia around your chest. It'll also prevent you from going too deep, which typically happens when your arm is straight. Take a few slow breaths here, an extended wing on the left. And take your time, make your way onto your belly, and stack your palms underneath your forehead like a pillow once again in a pranam. Recalibrate, and then make your way to an extended wing on the right. So this time your right arm will extend out to the right and then just immediately bend it. You should have enough space. Gaze to the left, so the right side of your head will come down. Left palm underneath the shoulder and make your way onto your right side body. Mm-hmm. You notice if your left or right side seems a little bit more stiff. Just a noticing. So take your time, make your way onto your belly, stack palms underneath your forehead. You rest in a pranam for just a moment or two. A last moment of being on our belly. So we'll make our way onto our backs. And so no need to change your orientation. You can just flip over like a pancake. So the crown of your head is still facing towards the front of the room. And just trust yourself that you'll be able to follow these cues as we start to close class down. Nothing overly complicated that you need to necessarily see. As you lay onto your back, bend your knees and start to walk your heels in towards your seat. Kneecaps point up. Feet about hips width distance apart and press your low back down. Just start to extend your arms up and overhead with the palms facing up. We're going to move into a few rounds of a reverse flowing bridge. And you can always just listen to the cue first before you have your body do it. When you inhale, you're going to press into your feet and lift your hips up, and then sweep your arms forward and down until your palms touch on either side of you. And then exhale, you'll lower your hips and your arms will raise up and overhead. So it's a flowing bridge, but a little bit backwards. So do this 3 times. And if your arms are not going in the direction that mine are, who cares? As long as you're breathing and moving. See if you can use the breath and take the whole breath to complete lifting and lowering. And so on your next inhale, as you lift your hips up, keep your arms by your sides. And you can stay here. Just keep pressing down into your feet and your palms to lift your hips up. And now your arms are in the perfect place if you'd like to come into a more traditional bridge, rolling the shoulder blades back, interlacing your fingers, pressing your fist down, and lift your hips up even more. Use the strength of your thighs, hugging in, pressing your feet down as opposed to clenching your glutes. Notice how your chest lifted towards your chin and not the other way around. If your hands are interlaced, release to lower your hips down. Heel toe your feet wide and allow your knees to knock together. And for a constructive rest or a lunar bridge. And really start to slow the breath down as we do a few closing shapes. Step your feet together, knees bent. Shift your hips 1 inch to the left. And from here, you can either simply lower your knees to the right. If you want something a little bit deeper, cross your left leg over your right, and then lower your knees to the right. You're going to feel like you were pinning your right knee down. Twist from the space underneath your rib cage around your waist. Roll the left shoulder back. Slowly make your way onto your back. Uncross your legs. Adjust your hips to the middle of your mat. Let's make our way to the other side. So we'll all shift our hips 1 inch to the right, and then simply lower your knees to the left or cross your right leg over your left. Right shoulder rolls back, gaze up or towards the right. Make your way onto your back. Uncross your legs if they're crossed and adjust your hips. And perhaps lift your hips up 1 inch and pull your tailbone away from you so that you can roll your spine down. Notice how your low back feels more anchored to the earth. And then draw your thighs in towards your belly. Wrap your hands around your shins for a supine child's pose shape. You can stay here or reach for the outsides of your feet for happy baby. Imagine you are making footprints against the ceiling. You draw your toes towards you. Release the outsides of your feet and bring your knees together. Press your low back down and then just start to draw the tip of your nose towards your kneecaps and curl in. Take a huge breath in. Exhale, release for a brief shavasana. Extend your legs out. Allow your arms to rest by your sides or on your belly. Allow your body to take up space. And soften your shoulders away from your earlobes. Broaden through your collarbones and chest. Take a few slow breaths here, relaxing and breathing. And I'll call you back momentarily. So you can keep your body relaxed and your eyes closed. And as you slowly start to wake up your body, notice the surging flow of breath as it pours into your chest and belly. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms up and overhead. Gather your knees in towards your chest and roll to one side. Press your palms into the earth and come up to sitting. Place one hand on top of your heart and one hand to your belly. And breathe into both hands, just like we started class. And slide your bottom hand up so both hands are touching your heart. Spread your fingers wide across your chest and breathe into the base of your hands. And as we bow our head towards our heart, we honor one another. And when you're ready, lift your gaze.